Hey guys, it's Mr. C here, and in this video we're going to review some of the basics of the coordinate plane. Let's get started. Alright, as it says up here, the coordinate plane is a plane that's formed by the perpendicular intersection of a horizontal number line, also known as the x-axis, and a vertical line, which is the y-axis. The point at which the lines intersect is called the origin. So as you can see in our little coordinate grid here, we have two number lines. This horizontal number line right here is what we're referring to as the x-axis, and the vertical number line here, the bold one right here, is what we're referring to as the y-axis. Now, as you're probably aware, the coordinate plane gives us a way of just identifying locations in space in a very specific way. And one of the ways that we do that is by writing points out as ordered pairs. So if you look over to the left, in this area here, this little section titled "You Got This," I'm going to give you a moment to plot the following 4 points. The first point is A, which has an ordered pair of -2, 5. Second point is B, which has an ordered pair of 4, -3, and so on. If you want to pause the video, now would be a good time. Go ahead and plot A, B, C, and D, and then we can go over our answers in just a second. Okay, now that you have them plotted, let's go ahead and see how our answers line up. Alright, our first point is -2, 5. So what you have to do, start at the very center of the coordinate plane, and this point right here, by the way, is known as the origin. Its ordered pair would be 0, 0. Anytime we're going to plot a new point, we'll start at the origin, and we'll first use the first coordinate of the ordered pair, which is, in this case, -2. So we'll start at the origin, we'll go left 2, and before we put ink to paper, so to speak, we'll have to use the y-coordinate, which is 5, which tells us to move up by 5 units to finally reach the location of the point A. So left 2 and then up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that right there is the point A. Now for the point B, its ordered pair is 4, -3, so we'll start at the origin, move to the right by 4 units, and then down by 3 to reach point B's location. And I'll go ahead and mark a little B right there. Point C is 3, 1, so we'll start back at the origin, we'll go to the right by 3, and then up by 1 unit. And that's point C. Last but not least is point D, which is -5, -2, so start at the origin again, left 5, and then down 2. So there's point D. So you'll notice that each of these 4 points are in kind of like different regions of the coordinate plane. Case in point, our first point A wound up being in this upper left-hand corner of the coordinate plane, and actually any of these corners are referred to as quadrants. So let me go ahead and recap that for you. So our first quadrant is in this upper right-hand corner, and that's referred to as Quadrant 1, which I'll write as Q Roman numeral 1. If you're any point in Quadrant 1, both your x and y coordinates are going to be positive numbers, so I'll indicate that this way. Then you start moving counterclockwise. The second quadrant is to the left of Quadrant 1, and this would be Quadrant 2. I'll write that capital Q Roman numeral 2. And if you're a point in Quadrant 2, your x-coordinate's negative and your y-coordinate's positive. Right below Quadrant 2 is Quadrant 3. So Q Roman numeral 3. And if you're a point in Quadrant 3, both your x and y coordinates are going to be negative. Last but not least, Quadrant 4, which is underneath Quadrant 1 and also directly to the right of Quadrant 3, is right here. So Q Roman numeral 4. And if you're a point in Quadrant 4, your x-coordinate's going to be positive and your y-coordinate's going to be negative. So let's see if all that lines up. The point A, -2, 5. Point A is right here, which happens to be in Quadrant 2, and you'll notice that its x-coordinate is negative and its y-coordinate is positive. Point B is 4, -3, and point B wound up being in Quadrant 4, and 4 is a positive number and -3 is a negative number, so that's lining up, which is good. Point C is 3, 1, and visually it's in Quadrant 1, and you'll notice that its x and y coordinates are both positive, so that lines up. And last but not least, point D, -5, -2. Point D is in quadrant 3, and notice its coordinate, its ordered pair has an x coordinate that's negative and a y coordinate that's negative as well.